from 1 to 25 in order tonight, because there's a few of you that are taking more than 2 hours to do a test, and you've got a 2-hour limit on this, and it'll count down for you, which for some of you drives you crazy when you see that countdown thing, and there's not any way you can fix it. It's just going to count down. But so we're going to do them in an order to try to get them done in the time that we have here, so that you can see that you can do it in the 2-hour period. Everybody okay? You ready to go? And these are posted out there, so if you want to go out and look at these questions in this order, you can do it. It's in a separate selection section that's there. Okay, are we ready? All right, this is a review for final, but we're going in a different order. We're going in the order of the easiest ones first, to get those out of the way, and then to the most difficult. Number 3 is absolutely the easiest one. It says determine if the graph is a function. So get this one. You can, do your drop down menu, go down to 3. It's probably going to be a parabola. This is the one that's on the practice test. And you're using the vertical line test, drawing vertical lines down it to see if the vertical line crosses in more than one spot for each vertical line that you do. And this one's definitely a function. Probably on the test, it's going to be a function as well. The next one that's just really easy is use the graph to determine the relative max and relative min. Okay, and they already give you the graph, but they don't tell you any points on it. You have to put the points in there. So the first thing you want to do is put in the max and min points. So kind of think, you draw your little sketch of it and find out the max and min. This maximum point up here is 0, 1, and this minimum point down here is 2, -3. All right, so then you just, by the way, all of these, every question is multiple choice. So you shouldn't have any problem finding your answers. You're looking for the one that says relative max is going to be 1 when x equals 0. And then it'll have a semicolon and say relative min is -3 when x equals 2. Any questions on that? You're just looking at the graph, and it may or may not have the points in there. The one that we had on the example, I don't think did. Okay, the next one that's in order of difficulty is this one. Convert to exponential equation. And they give you log base 8 of 512 equals t. So it'll be just like that, except the numbers will be different. And I'm hoping that you can remember how to do this. You take this little base and raise it to this answer, and it's the big log number. So it's 8 to the t equals 512. That's the way you want to write that. Okay. Then this next whole section in order of difficulty are the graphs. Number 1 is graph f of x equals the absolute value, and it's going to be an absolute value, and it's going to be some number, and it's probably going to be a minus x in there. So grab your calculator and trying to see what my message was there. Grab your calculator and remember that that absolute value key that you want is down there by the 0. If you do second and the 0, you'll see catalog. And the first one says ABS. So you put that in. It actually puts the absolute value bars in your Y1 place there. So then put in your 3 minus your X, and then graph it, and then just find the graph. All of these graphs are very different. So you shouldn't have any trouble finding the correct graph for it. Don't think on it too much. Just find the right picture. Okay, number 10 is a graph. I put all the graphs together so that we could use our calculator, and that kind of saves some time when you do that. So you grab your calculator, clear out the one that you had in there, and do second and square root of X minus 9. And you graph it. And you can barely see it over here on the end. See, it starts right there. So what this is graph is going to do is start way over here, and it's going to go out that way. But again, these graphs are all going to be very different. So it'll be easy to pick this one out that starts way over here, and you can just barely see it on your graph. So you know that's where it starts. If you want to see the rest of it, you can go in there and extend your X value to, like, say 20, and then you'll be able to see it better. Okay, now remember to get out of a graph that you've changed. Go to zoom and number 6, and it'll put it back in the 10 by 10s. Okay, that's number 10. Then number 16 is graph g of x equals negative x times x plus 1 quantity squared times x minus 2 quantity squared. It'll be a problem that's just like that. So put it in your calculator. Negative x parentheses x plus 1, close parentheses, raise it to the second power, parentheses x minus 2, close parentheses, and don't forget you've got this little x squared key over there to take it to the second power. And when you graph it, you're going to get a little graph that looks like that. And so it's touching down here at -1. It's going back up through 0, and then it's touching it 2 is what it's doing. So it kind of looks like that. Now this one you need to star, and you need to write yourself a note that says be careful, because on this one there are 2 pictures that are going to look just alike, and I'm going to show you what this looks like on the test so you'll see what I'm talking about. This is number 16. And on this number 16, this is the graphs. And so you can see our graph looks like this. But those graphs that are there have -240 and +240. So it's really hard to see which one of these graphs it is. You can eliminate B and D because they're going the wrong way. But A and C are probably going to look the same. Now on yours, it might be B and D that looks the same. But there's probably going to be 2 of them that look the same. And the only way that you can tell the difference is right in here at the end when they're going down. One of them goes down before the other one does. And if you think about this being 240, then each one of these little marks, there's 6 of them. So each one of them count 40 down. So find you a point over here and see which one it is. Like, for instance, right here, I can see that it's crossing at 3 over and 1 down. So that's about 3, negative 40. So if I go to my graph and I go to 3, I can see that 3, negative 40 is on my graph. But over here on the C at 3, it's like 120. And that's the only way you're going to be able to tell the difference between those graphs on that number 16. They're going to be very similar. Any questions about that?
So how can you tell that it's 3, negative 40?
Because it's marked that this is 240 down here, and there's 6 little marks. So what I did was, they're all 240. They're all at 240. And what I did was count, found a little place on this graph that crosses right across the grid. And the one that I found is right here. And if these are 40s, then that's going to be 3, because these are in units, because this says 6. 3, negative 40. And so then I checked my graph to see if 3, negative 40 was there. Whereas on C at 3, 1, 2, 3, this goes way down to 240. And so I know the graph is this one, because this one has 3, 240 on the graph instead of 340. Has to be this one. You understand?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so be careful. Write yourself a note. When you get to number 16, you're probably going to have 2 graphs that look very similar. So you'll have to check right here in this ending part of it, or you could check on this side either. That's how you're going to tell the difference between the 2 graphs, and you're finding a point that exactly crosses the grid, and you can check it on the graph that you did to see if it's one of those points listed or not. So then you can eliminate it down to the one that's correct. Okay, so those are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The first 6 that you can zip out the door in just a few minutes. About 10 minutes you can do that. Okay, let's go to the next group. The next one is number 21. And it's a graph. So all the graphs are together so that you can get all the graphs out of the way. Use your calculator for graphing and you'll be done. This is 4 to the x minus 3 plus 3. And the graphs are all very different on this one. So you hit the y equals. The only ones that they're close is that number 16. The others, they're all pretty different. So it's 4, and you'll have to use your caret key to get that x minus 3 up there as an exponent. But don't forget to bring it back down after you put that 3 in, because you've got a plus 3 to put in as well. Then when you graph it, it looks like that. And so all of the graphs are very different. So find the one that looks like the one that you have there. Okay. All right. The next one is number 2. Number 2 says find f of 0, and they give you f of x equals x squared minus 4x plus 6. And I think all of you can do this. You're just putting the 0 in there. And you can put it in your calculator if you want, but 0 minus 0, 4 times 0 is 0, just gives you the 6 that's left. So that's going to be your answer, and that one's really fast to do. Okay, then number 5.
Does that say number 2?
Yes, it's number 2.
Oh, okay, thank you.
This one's number 5. It says find the range. Now this one you're going to have to be careful, because some of you didn't like these range problems. And this one has a point at 4, negative 4, negative 2. Then it has a point on there at negative 3, negative 3. and then it crosses across and it has a point at 4, 4. So the graph actually looks like this. And you're trying to find the range, which is the y values. So look from bottom to top and use the y values. So this point right here is -3, I'm sorry, -4, -2. This one down here is -3, -3, and this one is 4, 4. Okay, now if you're having trouble with this, go through and mark out those x values because you don't care what the x values are. It's the y values you want. And you're trying to find the lowest y value. And I usually take a piece of paper or something and go across the bottom of the graph and see what it is right there. That's the bottom. And that point, the y value is -3. Then it keeps going up and goes up to 4. This little point right here is just put there to confuse you. You want the very bottom y value, which is -3, and the very top y value, which is 4. And you put brackets because it includes both of those points. Any questions on that? Okay, the next one is number 12, and it says, how can the graph of f of x equals negative x minus 2 quantity squared plus 12 be obtained from y equals x squared? So you're looking for shifts. That's what you're looking for. So this right here on the outside of that parentheses reflects across the x-axis. Okay, this 2 inside the parentheses is opposite of what you think is a horizontal shift, and it's opposite of what you think, so it's right 2. This one is outside, so it's up 12. So that's what you're looking for. The notes that says reflects across the x-axis, horizontal shift to the right 2, up shift to 12. Any questions on that? And there'll be 4 choices. And the first one, I think it says horizontal first. So the horizontal is 2 units to the right. So look for that one first. The 2 units to the right first. Then, once there's probably 2 choices that have that, then look for reflect across the x-axis, and I think there's 2 of those. So then you're down to the last choice, which is shift up 12, because there's a choice of up or down. Okay. I hope that we did enough of those that will be easy. Okay, look at 15. Number 15 says find the zeros and multiplicity. And it gives you a function that says f of x equals 3 times x plus 8 squared times x minus 8 cubed. That's what it looks like. You don't
I'm
do
sorry.
Yes?
Can you show the answer to the other one? I had to run to the bathroom. I'm so sorry, guys.
Okay, that's all right. Let me go backwards here and
Number 12. I didn't get to see the answer. I had to run over there. Sorry.
okay. Number 12. Number 12 is a shift.
Okay, I'll just take a picture of it.
Okay.
I can just write it down later on my spot. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Or you can get it off of content. It's on there too.
Oh, okay. It's just describing a transformation. Is that what that was?
That is, you're right.
Okay, cool.
Now
I
be
gotta do
careful
that.
on this. There's no 0 here because there's no X. So just ignore that 3. And they're going to probably put a number out there. If they have an X with it, then that's going to make a 0, but I suspect it's going to be a number just like this one is. And so you've got this one and this one to set equal to 0. So subtract your 8. You get X equals -8. Now it's this one that I found that from. So my multiplicity is going to be that exponent up there. My multiplicity is 2. On the second one, the X minus 8, I add 8 to both sides. So I have X equals 8. And in this one, the multiplicity is 3. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay, let's do number 17. Find the vertical asymptotes. And they'll give you some kind of problem. You won't have to worry about holes, or you won't have to worry about the top canceling. That's not going to be that kind of problem. It's going to be one that has 2 that's already factored for you in the denominator. So this is what you want to do. You set this denominator equal to 0, which means you're setting each one of those equal to 0. So X minus 6 equals 0 gives you X equals 6. And you need the whole thing, but you won't have to worry about remembering that because the answers are multiple choice and it will have the X equals already in there. So X equals -4. Those are your 2 vertical asymptotes. Okay. All right. Let me change. Anyone not through with 17? Okay. Let's do number 20. Determine if 1-to-1. And it's going to be 1-to-1 because they then say find the inverse. All right, the first selection is going to say it's not 1-to-1. Don't pick that one because the other 3 selections are the inverses. So let's see how we do this. This is our problem. And this is a process to get the inverse. First, you change your f of x to y. So this is y equals 3x plus 7. Then this is that's the end of that problem. What you're going to do now is start your inverse process. This is your inverse right here. This is where you swap the x and the y. You swap them. So where this is y is going to say x. And where it's x, it's going to say y. The 3 stays there, the 7 stays there. That's the inverse process. Now then, you solve for y. So you're going to subtract this 7 from both sides, and you get x minus 7 equals 3y. Then divide out the 3. And so x minus 7 over 3 equals y. And then they use the f to the -1 of x. So they'll have x minus 7 over 3 equals f inverse of x. So this will be your answer. Now, one of the selections will be x, minus 7/3. Do you see why that one's not an answer? And because the 3 is not over the x and the 7. That's wrong. Another one's going to be x over 3 minus 7. Do you see why that's not an answer?
Yes.
Okay. So don't count either of those two. You want the line all the way over that with the 3 underneath it. Any questions on that? All right.
Wait, I'm still writing. I was still
Oh,
writing
sorry.
that.
It's okay. Probably other people are too. I'll stop and take a little bit of attendance here, even though it's everybody gets counted here today. I've already put in the attendance for this time. See, Chandra's here. Hi, Chandra. Sequila's here.
Hello.
I don't know if you
Corey's
got me,
here.
Lori.
Hi, Corey.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What did you say?
Oh, I was saying Lori is here. I know there's a Corey also in this
Yeah,
class.
Lori and Corey are here. I told them all already, but you might want to go and check your grades. Your grades have all been done. They're done except for the final. So I went in there and checked your test scores and your quiz scores and checked your problems to see. And some of you made lots of errors in rounding, lots of rounding errors. I don't know why, but there were a lot of rounding errors. But I gave you some partial credit on those if you were close.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. 23. 23 is the next one. And 23 says express in terms of sums and differences. This was on that last quiz. And we have log x to the 4th z. It was almost just like this one. And a y to the 5th. Okay. For some reason, some of you kind of lost the focus. But these are multiplied, so you're going to add those. Log x to the 4th plus log z. And because this one's in the bottom, you're going to subtract that, but you do have to put the log in front of it. Some people forgot to put their log in front of that bottom one. So all three of these things have to have a log in front of them. Then bring your exponents to the front. Most people didn't have trouble with that. So we have 4 log x plus log z minus 5 log y. And you won't have to reduce it. It's not going to be one that you have to reduce. Any questions on that? Okay, then if you skip.
Yes, my internet went out. Can you leave it up for me?
Sure. If you skip over to 25, this is a solve problem. And this is where you change 64 to 4 to the 3rd because you're getting the same base. And I know that some of you forget how to do this. So on this 25, you need to get the same base. That will be much faster than trying to log both sides. When you start logging both sides, you're going to have to distribute and you're going to have a mess before you are through. So you don't want to do that. So you're going to change this 4 to the 9 minus 3x equals 4 to the 3rd because 4 times 4 times 4 is 64. Now, once your bases are the same, you can eliminate them, cancel them out, and just set your exponents equal. 9 minus 3x equals 3. Subtract your 9 from both sides. And you get negative 3x equals negative 6. Divide by negative 3 and x equals 2. Now, you can go backwards on this because they're going to have answers of like 2, 3, 1, 0. And you can take your answers and put in here if you want to. This, if I put a 2 in here, I get 9 minus 6. And 9 minus 6 is 3. And that's what's over here. If I put a 0 in there, I'll have a 9. So that's not going to work. If I put a 1 in there, I'll have a 9 minus 3. That's 6. That's not going to work. So you can go backwards on that one, actually, and put your answers in for X and see which one is a true statement. If you wanted to. Okay. After 25, if you skip over to 8 and find the domain, I probably should have done this one with the vertical asymptotes because they're kin. You get f of x equals x minus 4 over x squared plus 4x. And you set the denominator not equal to 0 when you're doing domains because you don't want those numbers to make that a 0. So you have x squared plus 4x can't equal to 0. You're not going to have to worry about canceling in wholes or anything on these problems. They're not going to give you any of those. So x cannot equal to 0, and x plus 4 cannot equal to 0. So that means x cannot equal to negative 4. So I've got to skip 0 and negative 4. Remember, negative 4 comes first on the number line. Here's 0, and here's negative 4 down here. You've got to skip those places. It's what you've got to do. It might help if you draw a little graph. And then they want it in interval notation. So you're going from negative infinity to negative 4, union, negative 4 to 0, union, 0 to positive infinity. We did a lot of those in class, so I'm hoping those are going to be easy for you. Okay, the next one in difficulty is find the vertex. It's number 14. And what you've got to remember is that you use x equals negative b over 2a, which is that first part of that quadratic formula. That's what you're going to use to get the x value of your vertex. So f of x, for your function, they give you 4x squared plus 32x minus 4. So a is 4, b is 32, and c is negative 4. Okay? So x equals negative b over 2a. In our case, it's going to be negative 32 over 2 times 4, which is negative 32 over 8, which is negative 4. Now, in the one that we had, that I had for this example, there was only choice of one that had a negative 4 for the x, so I didn't even have to put in the y. So check your 4 choices. If there's only one that has a negative 4, then that's your answer, no matter what they put for y. That's your answer. But if you want to find the y value, then what you do is put in the 4, the negative 4, in your problem. And I would not do this in my head. I would grab my calculator and do it. I would do 4 parentheses, negative 4, use your little negative key down there, squared, plus 32 parentheses, negative 4, minus, is that minus on the side, minus 4, and you get negative 68. So your vertex is negative 4, negative 68. Any questions on that problem? Okay, so we're doing good. We're on the next one that I want to work is number 18, and this is a composition. And it says G composed with F, and they want you to put in a number on this one, 9. So the first one you do, number 18, is going to be a number that you put into one of these functions. G of X in this problem is 3x squared plus 7x plus 8. So probably one of them is going to be a quadratic and one of them is going to be a line. But in either case, they're going to have you put a number. And remember, whatever's mentioned, their second is going to be the first one you put in there. It's closest to the 9. So the first thing I'm going to find is f of 9. So I put negative 5 times 9 plus 2, which is negative 45 plus 2, which is negative 43. Now then, because it's a composition, when I do the G, what I'm doing is putting the negative 43 in the G. So it's going to be G of negative 43, which is going to be 3 times negative 43 squared plus 7 times negative 43 plus 8. And again, I would grab my calculator to do that. 3 parentheses negative 43 squared plus 7 parentheses negative 43 plus 8. And you get 5,254. Any questions on that composition? All right, let's do number 19, which is also a composition. It says find the composition. And they give you f of x equals negative 5x plus 3, and g of x equals 3x plus 4. Expect that both of them are going to be linear. You're probably not going to have to do square this out. You probably won't have to do that. It says find, g composed with f of x. So again, you're taking the f first. And remember that we pick this f up and we bring it over here to g, and we take out this x that's right here. We take it out, and in its spot, we put negative 5x plus 3. So what this is going to say is 3. The 3 stays there. Then we have a negative 5x plus 3. That's where that x used to be. I'm putting in that information in there from f. So now I'll have to do is distribute. So I have negative 15x plus 9 plus 4. And then I simplify to negative 15x plus 13. Any questions? Okay. If I'm going too fast, let me know and I'll slow down. Okay, number 24. This is a population. The population increases according to B equals 1 million times E. That is not a base. You know, some of you, I noticed on the test, put that as a base E, and so your calculator didn't know what to do with that. But they give you the formula. You don't have to come up with it. They give it to you. And it asks you,
That's where I missed.
how many after 1 year? What is where you missed? Did you use a base E here? Because see, we've been doing those logarithms and they were base E's there. But this is not a, this is a big E. It's not a little number underneath there. I noticed that several people did that. So
That was me.
Was that you? So all we're
Me
going to
too.
do is take this 1 year and put it in T, and just be really careful when you put it in your calculator. Put your E in there and put 0.04 times 1.
Okay. Well, that
Okay.
makes a lot more sense now.
1 0 0 0 0 0 0. Second, and E. See, it's right even with it. It's not a base.
Okay.
0.04 times 1. Okay, see, I put it in the calculator just like that. And then when I put enter, I get this number. 1040810.774. So I'm going to write that down, and I'm going to show you how we round this, because we had so many people that did rounding errors. These are people, so you can have a 0.7 of a person. Either have a person or don't have a person. Even if you're pregnant, you can't have a 0.7. Okay? So this 7, if it's 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, that's going to move this digit right here to the next one. I had people that came way over here and changed the 4 to a 5 and changed the 8 to a 9. But it's only the digit right in front that you change. So this answer should be 1040811. The only digit that changes is that 0, and it changes to a 1. If this number had been 4, 3, 2, 1, or 0, I would have left this as 0. So when it's half or more, move it up.
Did it change the place of the decimal too? Because on my calculator, maybe I didn't put in enough zeros. I don't know. It looks like it
You
changed
should
the
have
place of
6
the decimal.
zeros after this 1.
Oh, my bad. Okay.
I did notice that several people put in the wrong numbers. Instead of putting 1,000, you would put in 100. And one of them, there was a 10,000 answer, and you put in 1,000. So be real careful when you see this, because this might be 10 million on the test, but it'll be
It kind
very
of still
close.
kind of tricky.
It's a little bit
Okay.
tricky.
Okay. Well, maybe because my mind see patterns, and if I don't see a pattern, I just don't get it. But I'm gonna have to pay attention to it just a little more. I'm gonna get it.
Okay. Just be careful. See, now we're getting to the harder ones. So be careful right in here in this area. All right. Then number 13 is one of the ones that you'll need to also be careful. It says find the zeros. And they give you f of x equals 2x squared plus 9x plus 3. Now, don't spend time trying to factor this. If all of your answers have some radical, that means this thing is going to have to use the quadratic formula. That's what that means. And remember, it's negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. For this number 13, you want to have this formula handy. So in our case, A is 2, B is 9, and C is 3. And I know I've got to use it because all of my answers had a radical in it.
And then isn't it like if it won't factor, you got to use the quadratic?
Yes, this would not factor. You can't add factors of 6 to
Right.
get 9. So
Right.
that would not factor. So x equals negative 9 plus or minus the square root of 9 squared minus 4 times 2 times 3 all over. Don't forget to draw this line over here on this part of it. 2 times 2. So now I have negative 9 plus or minus the square root of 81. Let's see what this is. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 3 is 24. So now I have -9 plus or minus the square root of 81 minus 24 is 57 over 4. So then the question is, will 57 break down? Yeah, I can divide 57 by 3, and I get 19. But 19 and 3 are neither perfect squares, so there's no perfect squares in 57. So I have to just leave it just like that. So this is the answer that you are looking for. It'll look just like that. Any questions? Okay, let's do number 4. I want you to save 4 to the end because it takes a little bit of time to put this into your calculator. I know these are not hard, but you need to be able to spend some time putting it in your calculator correctly. Tonight, we're going to set up your calculator so that you'll already have it ready to put one of these in. You won't have to worry about changing your dimensions. All right, so the way this works, you want X, Y, and Z, and you're using the body, and you'll have to come back in here, remember, and put these ones in where they're not there. Do you remember doing that? We need to come back in here, and there's a 1 that's here, there's a 1 that's here, and there's a 1 that's here, because everything has to have a coefficient, so we have to stick those 1s in there. And then you have 5, 4, 1, 2, -5, -1, 2, 1, 3. Don't forget that you're going to need to do the inverse of this. If you forget that inverse, you're going to have the wrong answer. 14, 23, -1. This is 3 rows by 3 columns. This is 3 rows by 1 column.
Yeah, go ahead.
This
I'm
is
gonna
going
go
to
to
be,
the store in a minute.
this
'Cause
is
we
going to,
got us to-
somebody's not muted.
Oh,
Is that
I'm
you,
sorry.
Chandra? Chandra, you going
Sorry
to the
about
store?
that.
Okay, now we're going to set up our calculators so that we'll be ready to do this problem for, okay? So go to your second in matrix, which is at x to the -1 key, and go over to edit and hit enter, and go ahead and put your 3, enter 3. So it'll be set up for you. You already have that part done. So you would just have to hit enter, enter. Now be careful and make sure that your first element is highlighted there as you put it in. So 5, enter, 4, enter, 1, enter, 2, enter. Put this negative down here by the negative little point. -5, enter, -1, enter, 2, 1, 3, enter. Now somebody remember how we get out of this.
Second and quit.
Second and quit. Second and the key right next to it. Now I want to put in B, so I do the second thing, same thing. I do second in matrix, over to edit, but down to B, and go ahead and put in your 3 by 1. That way you'll be ready. Just remember to enter, enter, so that you're highlighted on your first element for your problem. You'll have 14, 23, -1. Don't forget to hit enter on that last element. Just double check to make sure you have the right answers there. Second quit. Now we're looking to see A inverse B is what we're looking for. So we do second matrix, and this is where I just enter, and it puts an A in my blank screen. Let me clear this out and just have it. Second matrix A. Looks like that. Don't forget to put your little -1 key up there. If you forget it, you will have all kinds of decimal answers and it'll be crazy and you'll go, what in the world's wrong with this? You shouldn't have any decimal answers on this. Go down to B, and then your screen looks like A inverse B. And then when you hit enter, you'll get your X, Y, and Z. And in our case, it looks like 5, -2, -3. And they're going to want it in an ordered triple. This one's the X, this one's the Y, and this one's the Z. X, Y, Z. They'll have it in this form, not this form. I think everyone
Got
can
a
do
question.
those. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
I got a question. I want to
Yes.
make sure this is right because, yeah, I did get decimals and I did use the -1
Well,
inverse thing.
you have a mistake somewhere. So to
That's what I
check
was
it, do second and matrix and hit A and hit enter there and check your entries right there. Do second matrix, A, enter, and check your entries to see if it's 5, 4, 1, 2, -5, -1, 2, 1, 3. Is it?
You're right. I don't know where the 32 came from instead
Uh-huh.
of 3.
Yeah. You can
Okay,
check
3.
it by doing second matrix, and you can do it for B2, second matrix, and go down to B and just hit enter, and it'll put your matrix there that you put in. So you can double check your entries.
Oh, okay, got that right. Okay.
Okay? All right. This is next one that you want to do is number 6, which is match the inequality. We did these at the end of the class, and some of you were having some issues, so some people did not get this section in your mind right. So we're going to look at this one. That's what moved it down to the end. Actually, it's not a hard problem. Solve for y. Be careful. You flip the inequality if you divide by a negative number. So remember that little rule. Flip the inequality if you divide by a negative number. Let's see what we get here. -6x would give us -9y is greater than -6x minus 1. I put my 6x next to that inequality symbol. You could put on the end if you wanted to. Now you see what's going to happen when I divide by -9. I get y is less than. It's going to flip that symbol because I divided by a negative. 6/9 x plus 1/9. The negative divided by a negative will make that a positive. Now I need to reduce my 6/9 to 2/3. Okay, now then I want to do the boundary. I know that my boundary is shade below because it's less than. And I know that it's dashed because it's less than and not less than or equal to. So it's dashed. It's this one. All I have to do is figure out where that is. And since this is a fraction over here, you're better off to probably just graph it and get a picture of it to see, because they're interested in you shading it, not necessarily that you have the line right. So I'm going to put it in 2/3 x plus 1/9, and I'm using parentheses around my fractions. I know my calculator will do it, but your calculator might not. So you see you get a line that goes through here, and it's almost to the center. It's just not quite. Remember, it's dashed. All of the ones that we had selected were dashed. And because it's less than, I'm shading below. So there's the picture. So your choices on these, let me see, I'll just show them to you. Number 6, choice A is this one. Choice B is this one. Choice C is this one, except it's dashed. And choice D is this one. So see, there are 4 different graphs. So it's pretty easy to pick out the one that is going to be right. See that? But if you didn't remember to flip your inequality, you would pick this one. So you've got to remember to do that. Any questions on that? Okay, your next one is one of your favorite ones. As soon as I write it, I'll hear some moans.
Boo.
We have this good old ladder problem. Okay, it says the ladder's resting against the wall. The top of the ladder touches the wall at a height of 15 feet. Do not skip this problem. Find the length of the ladder. Now, some of you are finding the X, but you want the length of the ladder. So that's going to make a difference. If the length is, and this could, in your problems, it could be 5 feet, it could be 6 feet, it could be 3 feet. It is probably going to be more than, but it could be less than. All right, so we got this ladder leaning against this wall. I always like to draw a picture of it. Here's my ladder leaning up there. My wall is 15 feet high. Find the ladder, length of the ladder, if the length is 5 feet more than from the wall. This is mentioned last, so that's your X. Then the ladder is going to be 5 feet more. So with this, the X plus 5 is your ladder. Now, somebody remind me, what are we using for this problem? This is something you need to write down.
Pythagorean theorem.
Right. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. If you don't know that Pythagorean theorem, you're going to be lost on this one. So write this down for this number 7 problem, because you're going to need to use that formula here. So I'm going to have X squared plus 15 squared equals X plus 5, quantity squared, which gives me X squared plus 225 equals X plus 5 times X plus 5. Don't forget, you've got to write this down and multiply it out. No shortcuts on this. X squared plus 5X plus 5X plus 25 using FOIL. And I am going to shortcut here. I'm going to subtract that X squared, and I'm going to subtract that 25. X squared is going to go away. That 25 is going to go away. Looks like I have 200 equals 10x. 5x and 5x is 10x. Divide both sides by 10. And I get X equals 20. Now, X is this right here. What do I want to do about my ladder?
Put x plus, 20 plus 5.
So that's 20 plus 5, which is 25 is the ladder. Now, do you think they're going to have an answer of 20? Yes, they will. So whatever your X is going to be one of your choices. Just don't get sucked into that because you're wanting the length of the ladder. So you're going to have to do this adding or subtracting how many ever feet they have there. Okay? All right, and there is one more. Do not skip this problem. Don't say, I'm done. I'm not going to do this. I want you to do it. Okay? Tonight I'm going to give you a hint on how you'll know the answer. No moans and groans. This is number 9. Save it for last. Okay? For the function f, I think it's a little f, construct and simplify the difference quotient.
Boo.
And they give it to you. And they give you the function. And it's probably going to be just like that. It's going to be like 5x squared plus 2x or 7x squared minus 3x. It's going to be something that looks like that. Okay? This is the part that you have trouble with. You have to find f of x plus h. So the deal is, and I'm going to rewrite this over here so I can use it. Every place there's an x, just like we did on that composition, every place there's an x, take that x out, and what are you going to put in its place?
F of X.
X plus h.
X of h.
Oh,
X plus h is what you're going to put in there. And then you're going to see what you have. The 3 stays there. The x plus h goes in. The square stays there. The 4 stays there. The x plus h goes in. This will take you by far a lot longer than any other thing on the test, but you've got approximately 60 minutes to work this problem, so you can do it. So you have 3 times x plus h times x plus h plus 4 times x plus h. So leave your 3 there and multiply this out. X squared plus xh plus xh plus h squared, that's FOIL, and distribute that 4. Now then you want to distribute your 3. 3x squared plus 3xh plus 3xh plus 3h squared plus 4x plus 4h. And these 2 right here you can combine. You can't combine anything else but those 2. So you have 3x squared plus 6xh plus 3h squared plus 4x plus 4h. And that is your x plus h. Okay. Any questions on how we did it? This was given to get x plus h. You put x plus h right there where the x's are. So take out the x and put in x plus h. X plus h, x plus h. Multiply it out, this is what you get. All right, now then, we're going to put in the top where it says f of x plus h. We're going to put this there. So in the top, in the very first spot, I'm going to put in 3x squared plus 6xh plus 3h squared plus 4x plus 4h. And that is my f of x plus h. That's that one. Minus, I'm going to put in my f of x. There's my f of x right there. 3x squared plus 4x. Put it all over h. You're going to have to change the signs on these before you cancel out anything. I'm going to take out the parentheses here. That's what I'm going to do. So this is going to become minus 3x squared minus 4x. Don't forget that second minus. All right, won't cancel and you'll mess up. Okay, the 3x squares will go away. The 4x's will go away. And let's see what we have. Looks like we have 6xh plus 3h squared plus 4h. That's it. Over h. So you can expect that your f of x things are going to cancel. These two in the end should cancel with 2 over here. Now the next step, because you've got an h in each one of these, take out an h and you'll have 6x plus 3h plus 4 over h. Cancel your h's out, and you'll have 6x plus 3x plus 4. There's your answer. Okay. Now, did I lose you somewhere doing this problem? I know that some of you had trouble with this problem during the class.
Can you scoot it up a little bit?
This way?
Yeah, yes. Okay. So